28 Years Later is a horror film produced and directed by Danny Boyle and written by Alex Garland, releasing in 2025. The third installment in the 28 Days Later film series, following 28 Days Later in 2002 and 28 Weeks Later in 2007. It stars Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Alfie Williams and Ralph Fiennes. The film marks the returns of Boyle, Garland and cinematographer Anthony Mantle to the series, all of whom worked on the original film, with Cillian Murphy also serving as an executive producer. Following on from the first two installments back in the early 2000s, 28 Years Later had a lot of expectation rested upon it. After two classic standalone tales, but still in the same world, 28 Years Later set up not with a final third movie of a trilogy, but with a movie that kicks off a brand new planned trilogy. The story follows a young man named Spike and his family as they navigate this world while living on a fortified lone island connected only by a causeway that is inaccessible during high tide. The opening starts the film off strong and familiar, with scared people suddenly thrust into murder and mayhem as a character sprints for his life in the early moments of the outbreak. I was straight away on edge and filled with a sense of dread that 28 Days Later always gave me. Then we go to Spike's family. I really enjoyed the first half of the movie, with Spike exploring the world for the first time with his father. You get to see the ways the zombies have evolved, which is really fascinating, and there's some fantastic tension building and brutal gore during these moments. There's a terrifying chase with many haunting sights, and the introduction of a new alpha-type zombie. However, the movie's tension building leads to a drop-off when Spike is introduced to the idea that his mother, who has an unknown and painful illness, could see a strange, elusive doctor who lives on the mainland. His father tries to dissuade Spike with a tale about the doctor being insane, but if there's a chance that he could help his mother Isla, in Spike's mind, it would be worth it. Their journey and subsequent journey back is haunting, beautiful and tragic, but it wasn't what I was expecting. The tension dissipated as briefly spent time with a soldier character and then the elusive doctor, who actually turns out to be really nice. In the final third, we see that Spike has decided to go off on his own. After all the horror that he's seen, with alphas ripping out people's spines and hordes trying to drink his blood, he's decided he's gonna do it alone. And why wouldn't he? All the mistakes throughout the movie have led to no consequence, except for one more mistake. He bakes a fish on the open road, and we finish off the movie with an encounter with a kid from the very beginning, all grown up and now a Jimmy Savile fanatic with a gang of ninjas. It's all quite bizarre, and somewhat reminiscent of A Clockwork Orange, minus the gang of Jimmy Savile Power Rangers. This is sure to be the most divisive aspect of this film, and they chose to have that be the cliffhanger. This cartoonish ending comes right after we had just experienced a number of somber and bittersweet moments with Spike and his mother. There's a lot of poignant moments and metaphors about life, death and the beauty of existence, and to have it all followed by this is frankly insulting. Overall, 28 Years Later will divide opinion. Ultimately, I don't necessarily think that many of the aspects that it's presenting will resonate with your average viewer who are probably looking for something more familiar. Personally, I find a lot of the parallels and concepts fascinating to dissect, but some will simply call it a bit too artsy-fartsy for its own good. Not only for the drastic shift after the first act, but because it's filled with almost constant experimental cinematography that gets a bit jarring after a while. The acting is undoubtedly phenomenal across the board, with Alfie Williams deserving a special mention, as he's essentially the lead character and he holds the weight of the film on his shoulders impressively. Characters make too many silly mistakes that go unpunished. I know it has been 28 years, but in general, the rage zombies are repeatedly shown to lack much threat. Surviving in this world shouldn't be this easy. Spike's father just disappears after Spike leaves with Isla with no explanation. Also, the film attempts to juggle too many grand concepts, such as the idea of zombies having an alpha, as well as the concept of childbirth amongst them. Where this baby born from an infected will lead is anyone's guess, but I'm not a fan of hybrid stories if that's the idea. It doubles down on the rest of the world being completely normal while England is under strict quarantine. In my opinion, this idea falls apart if you think too hard, so just accept it. The ending is simply bizarre. In theory, I understand that Jimmy Savile was a Northern icon, and his crimes have probably not come to light in the ways that they did. Yes, that could work to some degree, but why in the hell would you even want to associate yourself with such a thing? I imagine anyone who was or is related to someone who was affected by what he did would have been in for quite a nasty surprise. Worse still, this feels like the start of a trilogy rather than something that can stand alone, which sucks. Also, the sequel have a different director, and we all saw how that worked out for Star Wars. The third film, which will focus on Cillian Murphy's character Jim, will only happen if it gets financing. Probably not the best idea to make your first film in a planned trilogy one that'll be so divisive, but what do I know?